Alright, so I wanted to show you guys how I make my pom-poms for my hats and just as decoration for around my office. If I ever have like a little bit of yarn left over and I'm not sure what to do with them, I usually just make one of these. This is using a super bulky yarn from Pearl Soho, and this is just a burnout roving. That one's a little bit smaller. So I'm going to show you how I make those, and it's super easy. So we'll start out with this worsted weight yarn, and this is just Bernat Super Value worsted weight yarn in a gray color. Now with this yarn, I'm gonna make a smaller pom-pom. I'm gonna make a pom-pom this size. I wrap the yarn around all 4 of my fingers. But since I'm gonna be making a smaller one with worsted weight yarn, I'm just gonna use these 2 fingers, my index and my middle finger. So just take your yarn and just start wrapping. And just keep wrapping. And you know, how many times you wrap is all personal preference. It just depends on how thick you want your pom-pom to be. So I'm gonna say that's about good enough. You can kind of see how thick that is on my fingers. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna slide this off of our fingers, but keeping its shape like it is right now. So go ahead and slide that off and pull your fingers out while keeping the shape of all the wrapped yarn like this, okay? Now we're gonna cut this working yarn, and then we're going to take that same working yarn that's attached to the skein of yarn, and we're gonna tie this around the center as tight as we can to make a bow shape. Okay, so I'm gonna set it down here, and you know, just hold it together the best you can with your fingers while you're tying a very tight knot around the center. And so see how I've tied one loop and it makes it into this little bow. Okay, so I'm going to do a double knot here while keeping it as tight as I can. Okay, so now what we're going to do is take our scissors, cut the working yarn, cut that little bit of excess there. And what you want to do now is take the scissors again, and you're going to go along the edge of where the yarn is folded, and you're just going to start cutting and fraying the ends. Okay, and you're going to try to do that along both sides, trying to get all of those pieces that are folded in half. And then just go through, make sure you got them all. See, there's a couple in here that I missed. And just kind of spread them apart. There's another one in there I missed. So now we have what kind of looks like a really messy pom-pom. So now what you want to do is go through and give it a haircut. So I have some pretty long pieces here, so I'm just going to hold it between my fingers like that, and without cutting your fingers, just cut those little pieces off. And you're going to do that along the whole thing. See how there's a couple of long pieces there? Just cut those. Okay. Being sure to pull out all those long pieces so you don't miss any. Okay, there's some long ones there. You don't have to hold it with your fingers like that if you're afraid you're going to cut yourself. You can just pull those long pieces out and cut them. And do this around the entire pom-pom, okay? So there you have it. Looks much better now. It's more symmetrical, and it doesn't have to be perfect. Like, there might be a couple little pieces that you missed, but I'm not super picky with mine. So there's one. That's the littlest one we'll make, and I'm gonna set that aside. So now I'm gonna use this burnout roving yarn, which is the same yarn that I used for this gray pom-pom here. It's like a medium-sized pom-pom. And I'm gonna use 3 fingers for this one to make it a little bit bigger. So we've wrapped it around once, twice, 3. We'll do 30. So just like you did with the other one, you wanna slide this off of your fingers while keeping its shape without losing any of those loops. Okay, and cut the working yarn. Take the working yarn and wrap it around the center of this to make a bow shape. And I'm gonna set it down so I can keep it in place. All right, so now we have like a messy bow, and we're gonna cut this and this. And now we're gonna go along the edge again and cut all of these folded pieces. Helps if you have a pretty good pair of scissors. All right, so I've cut all of my folded pieces, so now we're gonna start giving it a haircut and trimming it up and making it more symmetrical. So there we have a cute little pom-pom made out of burnout roving yarn. Okay, so now I'm going to use this bulky yarn to make a larger pom-pom. So we're going to start wrapping, and I'm going to use 4 fingers this time. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, that's 60 times. So we're gonna cut the working yarn, pull that off of our fingers, take the end of the working yarn, and you're gonna wrap it around the center, being careful to stay in the center. If you do it more on one end than the other, then you'll have an uneven pom-pom that you're gonna have to cut really short. Okay, and we're gonna do a double knot, keeping it as tight as you can. Now you're gonna cut the working yarn, trim that up, and now you're gonna cut along these edges here again. Okay, it's gonna fray out. Now, I mean, this may not be the best tutorial for making pom-poms, but it's how I do it. I just taught myself how to do it, and I know that it's super easy, it's quick, and it looks great on top of a hat, or like I said, sometimes I just use them as decoration around my office. Put them on the shelf or on my desk. So just make sure you cut all of these loops. Try not to miss any. Okay, and now we're going to trim it up to make it look a little more symmetrical. And there's your large pom-pom. So we made this little gray one, green one, and this medium-sized pink one. And that's how I make my pom-poms, and you can go to simplymaggie.com to find this tutorial with pictures and a bunch of other tutorials. And that's it, guys. I'll see you in my next video. And here comes Remy. Hey, Rem. You want a pom-pom? I don't think you can have one of these. Okay, so then we're gonna find the, no, that's not yours. Rem, those aren't toys, sweetie. She just got drool all over my yarn. That's okay. All right, so, and do this along the whole thing. Watch out, Rem. No. She thinks this is a toy for her, but it's not. Go lay down. Alright, make sure you got them. Uh-oh. We're gonna try that one again. Excuse you, Remy.